It was from S. Young in West Footscray, but they've written to me about the days of the hot gospeling coach. Men like Alan Killigrew seem to be a thing of the past. Can you and your fellow grumpies, who is that, I wonder, tell us about your most memorable coaching addresses? Well, now, Lindsay, you had Killigrew. I mean, he was really fiery, wasn't he?
Killer was probably the best of the hot gospelers. One stage he got up there and told the story of the fella that he went away to war with, and he got killed. And they brought his ashes back and laid him out on the centre of the ground, in the middle of the turf. And that inspired the fellas to get up and go crazy in the last half, win the game. And Killer used to wave his towel, getting the audience and all the supporters to chant. And I think this was probably the first of the sheedy format of waving. He used to wave the towel, and he was terrific.
What about you, Kevin?
Well, I think one day, Bobby, I said to the players, I said, tomorrow we're playing Carlton. Sorry I can't be with you.
What? You just got the sack.
Well, I could feel I was getting the sack, Bobby.
What about you, Tony?
He got the sack.
No, I did not. I resigned. I got in before they got me. I had a motivational tape that wouldn't work 3 times before a game, and thank God for Nathan Buckley. He just got up and said, don't worry about the tape. We know what we're doing. Let's get out there. So that was it.
Well, if I just... 1 second, Kevin. I might just say this about Killigrew. You were saying how good he was. This day we were playing when he was coaching North, and he said something rather strange to Rosenau, and Rosenau ran past him and said, you bloody hunchback-looking little so-and-so. And he jumped out the box, and there was a blue started, and Rosenau hit him a beauty and smashed around his eye, and he got out there. And he said, there, now I'm bleeding for North Melbourne too. Everybody else bloody wants to play. It was fantastic. I don't know whether they got up and won or not, but it certainly was a very exciting day.
Well, Bobby, have you got a winner?
Oh, the winner, quickly. Oh, yes. S. Young from West Footscray, and of course it's a marvellous note. And of course she wins from TIAC, the magnificent television set there. Oh, it's a radio. We've changed, we've gone back to a radio. But still, there it is, it's a great prize. And if you want to win a radio or a television, write into Bobby's mailbag, locked bag 4444, South Melbourne 3205.
This man created history in 1961, Bob. One of the all-time greats.
Thanks, Kev. Our next guest this evening was captain of Hawthorn's Team of the Century. Please make him welcome Graeme Arthur.
Wow. Thanks, Melissa. Gentlemen.
Graeme, welcome to Grumpy Old Men. And of course, you went to national service with Lindsay Fox.
Gunner.
Gunner
Fox in those days, yeah.
Weren't you a sapper?
I was a sapper later on when I got into the survey corps.
Oh, was that an elevation? Going from gunner to snapper?
Well, I thought so.
Oh,
were you playing AFL football when you went into national service, playing in the seniors?
Yes, I was, Kev. Yes, in 56. I started 55, so August 56. What's the date? The
7th of August.
7th of August.
Well, you won the best and fairest in your very first year of AFL football.
Yes.
So, did you miss any games?
Missed one. There were 2 games to go in the season, and the first week up there in Pucker, I in front of the captain at the time and said, you know, I'm Graeme Arthur and I play with Hawthorn Footy Club. He was New South Welshman. He said, so what?
Oh. Was there any kangaroos up there then?
But the following week, AWOL, I think Lindsay went for one day too, that the old taxi was out the front of the Pucker Army camp and into the taxi and off down to...
How did you get the nickname of Mort?
Oh, golly. Back in 1948 in the at school at Bendigo, Morris Brothers Bendigo, we did Mort Arthur, the death of Arthur, Excalibur and swords and King Arthur and
I thought it was you were a mortician.
I haven't died yet.
What about those early days at Hawthorn? Because when you first went to Hawthorn, well, I doubt whether... Had they ever played in the finals when you first went to Hawthorn?
No.
Never played in the finals?
No, I started 55 and my first finals appearance was 57.
So, I mean, they were bad years for Hawthorn, weren't they?
Well, coming up to there's see the pace.
Yeah.
The grass is burnt just behind me.
That's right. You're kicking with your wrong foot there.
Well, I am, but pretty versatile.
Oh, versatile. Okay.
So we had a tough going in the early 50s. For instance, 50 and 51, when Wolfer was winning premierships at Geelong. We finished last. I think we won one game in 2 years. And Hector Lacey was saying the Hawthorn should not be in the competition. So it had to be a turnaround, and the administration got together in '53, and things started to move. Jack Hale was coaching at the time, and John Kennedy was captain. So and Candles Thompson came in
from South Australia.
That's right, and he was probably the biggest player that arrived, biggest name player, and biggest in terms of, I think he's about 6'7" or 8".
Yeah, he was a monster.
Yeah, and so his attribution meant that Hawthorn got heaps of publicity, far more than they were getting, of course, and it was attraction for all we younger fellows to sign on the dotted line.
You came from Bendigo. We were a clever half forward in Bendigo. Well, what did you do up there? Where did you play?
I played half forward flank. Yes. I started pretty well. All my football is junior. Well, junior there was only school games, and then you went into Sandhurst reserves, and then into the seniors. So I just played half forward flank, and then.
Was there much money changing hands when you came down, Maud, or was that before that?
That's confidential, Bob.
Oh, confidential. Oh, I see.
No, I think it was pretty big brass. I think it was about 250 pounds.
Were you the number one draft choice?
Yes.
Hey, were you?
Well, even Geelong were chasing me at the time. There were about 7 clubs, so I felt pretty big about that.
out on the flank then.
Yeah, of course.
Well, you couldn't have come, no.
No, well, I went down there. Bertie Warner took me down after he ran at the Easter gift, I think, in Bendigo.
Yeah,
and
he's a great runner, Bertie.
Yeah, he was. So I came down to Geelong and went through the wool classing bit, as all the country boys did.
Yeah.
But the money wasn't good enough.
Graeme, what about the team of the 80s? I think it's probably the most talented team that I've ever seen. For a decade, you dominated AFL, VFL football then, but there was one man who was my coach, Lee Matthews, at Collingwood, and he was a player or a person who didn't have to say a lot, but when he looked at you with those eyes, what about some memories of Lee Matthews in that era of the 1980s?
Yeah, certainly great. I came back to Hawthorn in '85 as marketing manager, and I was there for about 13 years. And to go through that era, as you say, was just magnificent. Certainly the Matthews was qualified when he was appointed the footballer of the century.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't get a greater title than that. And he certainly proved that as a match winner on the ground in any position he took on. But the side was just moulded to that there were never changes. Thank God they didn't have the ons and offs as they have nowadays, and it was just crazy stuff as we see it at the moment. The side was settled, everybody knew their position, and everybody could play that position.
But it must have been fantastic for you to be the first captain of the premiership side for Hawthorn.
It is. It's certainly got better and better as I've got older.
Yeah.
Not through.
Well, there you are. Look, holding up.
1961, you played the Bulldogs.
EJ.
Yeah.
Great player.
Who were some of the great players in that side?
In our side, certainly Ian Law was a rover of great note. Never played enough footy, senior footy, Liberty, but he was a wonderful player. We had Peck at full forward, Gary Young at centre half forward. Brendan Edwards would have won a Norm Smith medal that day. He had 35 kicks. I think he didn't hand pass much, so 35 kicks. And then John MacArthur at centre half back and Les Kane at full back. So a good. The half back line always created lots of interest. Cam McPherson was quick and tough, and MacArthur was a big, strong fella. And then on the other flank was Stead Hay, who had the tilt of the head on the side and could run straight.
Kevin Coverdale came down and looked to be what should have been one of the great footballers of all time, Kevin Coverdale. He looked at training and at sometimes when he played.
Yes, he very skillful player, Kevin Coverdale, huge amount of skill. He probably ran into trouble because he was closely guarded with his reputation came before him, and he was closely guarded and roughed up a little, and he...
And he'd start to return it.
He just didn't know how.
To do it.
He messed his career up. He went the wrong way.
Well, just on that, Graeme, because Bobby was a whinging coach down at Geelong against Hawthorn, wasn't he? Because Hawthorn used to be a rough and tough side, the Kennedy Commandos, and Bobby had the skillful Geelong side. And one day he whinged, didn't he, on television, in radio and newspapers, that you were too tough.
Yeah,
too tough.
We were crude.
Crude, rude, and ugly.
And got sued too, Bobby, didn't you?
I did get sued, but I mean, look, I'm very good. Well, I'm good mates with you, Mort, aren't I? Well, I hope I am. No, we are. But
That's a good one. Spot.
I am good mates with, you know, with those. But John Kennedy now, you know, I consider a very good friend, you know. But when the football's on like that, as Lindsay was saying, look, you've really got to put your own team first, don't you? And you've got to be able to do things and win with them. And I didn't fancy your team at all, I'll tell you. Oh, very rough.
Oh.
Very rough.
Yeah, well, Colac wasn't too bad. I had the privilege of playing
no,
Colac.
well, I had to bring him in.
That's John Devine.
John Devine, yeah.
I had to bring him in.
Geelong. You coached Hawthorn for 2 years as a playing coach.
Yes.
Hard?
64, 65.
Tough?
Oh, yeah, impossible. I just didn't know how tough it was. It was and you appreciate it now when you think back over those 2 years. But we just missed out on the 4 in 64. We played the Melbourne side at Glenferrie, the Hassaman goal, or we call that. Wonder you haven't got that on tape somewhere, but just to rub it in. But he kicked a goal, left foot from an impossible Linda Crescent side forward pocket, and it somehow sailed through. I don't think I've ever seen a goal kick from that position since that day. And they went from 5th to 2nd, and we dropped from 2nd to 5th.
And missed out.
Missed out. So, and it was a premiership to be won. They actually won it then from their position, which I think they finished 4th in the after the final game the following week. And then of course, 65 was a bottom. And
Started to go down.
And that's the end.
And then, of course, John Kennedy came back and you continued as a player. Graeme, thanks for joining us today. And Lindsay, thanks for joining us as well. 2 great soldiers, Graeme Arthur and Lindsay Fox, joining us this week on Grumpy Old Men. Join us next week for 2 more stars on Grumpy Old Men.